1982, the lightly regarded Quakers of Pennsylvania served notice they were no longer the doormats of the Ivy League. Steve Flacco provided a memorable moment with this 83-yard gallop against Yale to nail down Penn's first victory over the Elis since 1973. The Quaker Express was in high gear. Nobody who was there will ever forget the Harvard game of 1982, with Penn clawing to come back after losing the lead to Harvard with less than a minute to play. Rich Sirik makes a miraculous catch with 17 seconds left. A field goal will win it, and Gary Bura has 10 seconds to get his team close enough. Steve Flacco takes his pass and gets out of bounds on the 21. Three seconds left. Dave Shulman attempts a 38-yard field goal. The clock runs out. It's no good, but a penalty gives the Quakers another chance. With no time left, this one is for the Ivy title, and Dave Shulman makes it good to give Penn a share of its first league crown since 1959. 1983, featuring a balanced offense and a great defense, the Quakers forge a share of another Ivy League title. Chuck Nolan scores to give Penn a lead over Princeton. But the play everyone will remember is defensive end Dave Smith blasting in to snuff out Princeton's last gasp attempt to win on a two-point conversion. (1984) Camp Canadensis in Pennsylvania's Poconos. The idyllic surroundings and noontime horseplay in the pool belie the serious purpose of Coach Byrne's staff and players. Penn's football camp is not just an elite group of probable starters, but an entire squad. All that is asked of each player who comes to camp is a commitment to do his best for the program. Under the grueling two-a-day regimen administered by Coach Byrne, offensive coordinator Joe Leslie, and defensive coordinator John Lyons, the Quakers must come together as a unit. Their 1984 goal is to make it 3 in a row and to stand at the top alone. When the real action begins, the Quakers break on top and stay there. Their first game is a romp against Dartmouth in Hanover, 55-24. It's the most points ever scored by a Penn football team in a road game. The home opener produces a narrow victory, 19-14 against Davidson in a night game. Against Columbia, offense and defense both shine in a 35-7 masterpiece. Penn makes it 4 in a row by overpowering Brown 41-14 before falling to the most powerful Army team in years at West Point. Jerry Byrne's forces are maintaining the balance they achieved in 1983. Stardom is equally divided between offense and defense, with John McGeehan throwing to co-captain Lal Hennigan, Warren Bueller, and Jim O'Toole. Steve Ortman, Rich Comizio, and Stan Koss provide the ground power. On the defensive side, Tom Gilmore, co-captain Kevin Bradley, Ross Armstrong, and Tim Chambers are among the standouts who keep opposing offenses out of the end zone. The Penn campus is quiet early on homecoming morning, but that is soon to change as alumni from all over the country gather to renew old friendships and cheer on the Quakers against Yale in a series that dates back to 1879. The campus is alive with spirit as 37,000 head for Franklin Field. Co-captain Lal Hennigan leads the 1984 Quakers onto the field. They have a perfect 3-0 record in Ivy play, while Yale is 2-1 and hoping to even things up. Coach Byrne has a personal word with each player as the squad warms up for the game. They all know Yale will be sky high for this one. The Elis are looking for revenge for last year's shutout. Yale takes the opening kickoff, but quarterback Mike Sear gets a violent greeting from Gavin O'Connor, and the Eli attack fails. Hank Eaton punts on 4th down. Under it is Tim Chambers, and Tim takes off on a dodging 18-yard return. Tim has been exciting Penn fans with his punt returns for 3 seasons. The Pennsylvania offense strikes like lightning. On the first play from scrimmage, John McGeehan hurls high and far to Jim O'Toole. Jim runs away from everybody for a 72-yard touchdown. With Tom Murphy's conversion, the Quakers take a quick 7-0 lead. The early strike is becoming their trademark. The defense keeps Yale in check. Tom Gilmore takes down Rick Coase for a loss, and the Elis are forced to give up the ball again. John McGeehan gets picture-perfect protection from his offensive line and passes downfield. Warren Buehler goes up with a Yale defender all over him and comes down with the ball. McGeehan looks over the defense and calls on sophomore Rich Comizio. Steve Phelps and Ed Foley lead the way, and Comizio picks up a good game. With the Quakers in close, McGeehan looks for Steve Ortman, who has slipped into the end zone. McGeehan's pass is right on the money for the touchdown. At the end of one period, Pennsylvania owns a 14-0 lead over Yale. Second quarter action. Watch Steve Ortman take a pitch out and pick up 12 hard yards. With his running talent and pass catching, Steve was a key cog in the Quaker offense. McGeehan is thinking pass and gets fine protection from second-team All-Ivy Jeff Goyette. Pat Buehler makes the reception at the sideline and adds a few yards for a 21-yard gain. Tom Murphy takes aim from 36 yards out and scores. Tom rolled up a season total of 12 field goals to set new Ivy and school records. Yale scores a touchdown, but co-captain Kevin Bradley slows the Elis down on this drive. The senior linebacker was Penn's top tackler for all of his 3 seasons, posting 357 for a school record. Quarterback Mike Sear decides it might be easier to move through the air. He passes to Ted McCauley, but he loses the ball, and Dwayne Hewlett recovers for Penn. At the half, Penn leads 17-10. Sam Coroniti and the special teamers keep Penn out of trouble. In the third quarter, Coroniti booms a 52-yard punt, and Pete Gallagher provides a slashing tackle. Yale has to start from its own 6. Pete Gallagher isn't finished with Yale. He meets Rick Coase 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage and cuts him down for a loss. Aggressive defense has become a Penn trademark. The Elis finally get another threat going, but on third down, Tom Gilmore and Gavin O'Connor blast through to sack Mike Stewart, and Yale settles for a field goal. Offensive backfield coach Doug Jackson has another string to his bow besides Steve Ortman and Rich Comizio. He's Stan Cox, and he has a first down. Steve Phelps, Joe Smalis, and Matt Petronio fence out the onrushing Elis as John McGeehan hits Lal Hennigan deep in Yale territory. Again, the pass protection is ironclad as McGeehan sets and throws to Jim O'Toole. Tom Galley opens the hole, and Rich Comizio skips through. He gets another block from Matt Petronio, and he's on his way to a 20-yard touchdown. The 70-yard drive puts Penn on top 24-13. Yale battles back to make it 24-21, but the Quakers are not to be denied. This is Rich Comizio following Ed Foley and Jeff Goyette for a key first down. Tom Murphy takes aim on a 45-yard field goal and boots it through. It matches Tom's personal best, and Penn leads 27-21. Tom was one of Penn's 7 first-team All-Ivy selections. The Elis try to get something going late in the game. Mike Stewart passes from his end zone, and it's picked off by Ross Armstrong. Ross was named second-team All-Ivy for the 2nd straight year. With 3 minutes left, the Quakers want to put this one away. Steve Ortman works his way outside and races for 25 yards. Pennsylvania is threatening again. And they make good on the threat. John McGeehan lobs a screen pass to his talented tailback, Steve Ortman. All-Ivy center Joe Smela springs Ortman loose for the touchdown. Penn scores a 34-21 homecoming victory, taking the measure of Yale for the 3rd year in a row. The Princeton Tiger is the next roadblock in the Quakers' drive for their 3rd Ivy title. Penn rooters fill the sunny side of Palmer Stadium, outnumbering the hometown fans. Princeton receives the kickoff, but the Penn defense shuts the door and they must punt. Tim Chambers, with key blocks from Pete Gallagher and T.J. Marta, shows once again why he is Penn's most exciting punt returner in years, with a sparkling 37-yard gallop. The Quaker offense takes advantage of the good field position. Rich Comizio gets the pitch and follows Mike O'Neill around left end for a hefty gain. Comizio has been a standout as a sophomore. Penn drives to the 2, and Comizio goes straight ahead to score. The Quakers are running true to form. They've scored first in nearly every game this season. Tom Murphy kicks off to Princeton with Penn leading 7-0. The receiver mishandles it in the end zone, recovers, and then is separated from the ball by Bob Chismar and Keenan Nix. Pete Gallagher wins the scramble for the loose football. Another big play for Penn's special teams. McGeehan fakes a handoff and keeps the ball. He bolts into the end zone for Penn's 2nd touchdown in less than a minute. The Quakers' ability to capitalize on turnovers is an important factor in their success. The defense takes over. Time after time, tailback Chris Ratliff and quarterback Doug Butler are stymied. George Lewis, Denton Walker, Ken Coombs, and All-Ivy tackle Tom Gilmore make big plays. Then Ratliff is nailed by Joe Lorenz and fumbles. Tim Chambers recovers for Penn. The game moves into the 2nd quarter, and John McGeehan opens the action with a pass to Warren Bueller. Receiver coach Tim Keating is proud of the Bueller twins, Warren and Pat. McGeehan had success with a keeper before. Now he tries it again and picks up 8 yards more of Tiger territory. That's close enough for Tom Murphy, and he makes it good with Chris Hylinski holding. The Penn lead mounts to 17-0. The Tigers get 3 plays and a punt, and it's the Quakers' ball again. That's fullback Mike O'Neill getting perfect blocking from Steve Phelps and Joe Smalis to shake him loose on a 52-yard touchdown run. O'Neill, a junior who will be back in 1985, has shown he can run as well as block. Co-captain Kevin Bradley, 2-time All-Ivy linebacker, talks strategy with defensive line coach Ed Zubrow. John McGeehan is keeping the Tigers off balance with his passing. Warren Bueller makes one of his patented catches along the sideline for a big gain. McGeehan, named Ivy Player of the Week after his performance against Yale, has to scramble here, but picks up good yardage. The drive fails, and Princeton takes over. Doug Butler goes for the long ball on this play, but Ross Armstrong makes his first of 2 interceptions to wreck the Tiger drive. McGeehan keeps throwing, and Warren Bueller keeps catching, but the Quakers can't get another one across in the first half, and the halftime score is Penn 24, Princeton 14. Here's the second half kickoff. The ball is going to Steve Ortman, and he shows why he was the 3rd leading kickoff returner in the nation in 1984. Sam Koss gets a chance to show his stuff as he rips off a nice 11-yard gain. But Penn fails to score in the third period. Late in the fourth quarter, Princeton has narrowed the Penn lead to 24-17. Sam Coroniti keeps the Tigers at bay with a beautiful punt. The specialty team star Sean Shoulder downs on the Princeton 3-yard line. Doug Butler tries to pass upfield, but Bob Chismar cuts it short with a diving interception. Tom Murphy caps the victory with a 44-yard field goal, setting a new Penn season kick-scoring record. With the 27-17 win, the Quakers remain undefeated in the Ivy League and head for a showdown with Harvard the following week. As the Crimson Band comes thumping into Franklin Field, Harvard is also undefeated in Ivy play. The Quakers are grimly determined to change that statistic. This matchup of undefeated teams is for the Ivy League Championship of 1984. The first such matchup this late in the season in 16 years. Coach Burt and his staff have steered Penn through 2 championship seasons and most of a third. Today, they can nail that third one down. Harvard scores the first time it gets the ball, but then the Quaker defense takes charge of the game. Sam Coroniti booms a punt downfield that takes a Pennsylvania bounce and covers 58 yards. The Crimson is forced to start from its own 11. Penn defensive coaches wigwag signals as Harvard tries the pitch out. Pete Gallagher and Tom Gilmore slam down the runner for a 2-yard loss. After Harvard is forced to punt, John McGeehan puts the Penn offense to work. He lofts the ball over an onrushing defender and finds Pat Bueller for a first down. The Quakers show a balanced attack. Rich Comizio takes a pitch out and picks up 12 yards with a lot of help from All-Ivy tackle Ed Foley. Steve Ortman, senior standout at tailback, puts down his head and picks up a tough 6 yards for a key first down. Penn is threatening. Stan Koss is playing his last game in Franklin Field, and he gives the crowd and himself something to remember with a 3-yard surge into the end zone. Stan's second effort gives Penn its first score. The first quarter ends with the 2 unbeaten Ivy rivals locked in a 7-7 tie. Dennis Becky is running the Harvard offense. He rolls out looking for a receiver but gets the wrong number. Pete Gallagher intercepts for Penn, and the 39,000 spectators roar their approval. The next time Harvard has the ball, Becky goes to the air again. Tim Chambers steps in front of the intended receiver and chalks up the 12th interception of his illustrious career with the red and blue. Tim's brilliant defensive play earned him the title of Ivy League Player of the Year for 1984. Tom Galley and Joe Smalas open the hole, and Mike O'Neill blasts through. Mike races for 26 yards before the Harvards can pull him down. Sophomore Rich Comizio, who finished the season as the Red and Blues' top rusher, tears off 9 yards to keep the Penn drive going. McGeehan hides the ball and rolls out, checking off his receivers. He passes on the run, and Lal Hennigan pulls it in for a 27-yard gain. Lal was a second-team All-Ivy choice at tight end. Tom Murphy is in to try a 41-yard field goal and makes it good. In this game, Tom goes on to set a new Ivy League season kick-scoring record. He has been a big part of Penn's success. For the first time in a long time, the Quakers have had to come from behind. but they lead at the half 10-7. It's still a close game as Harvard kicks off to start the third quarter. Steve Ortman takes the ball on the 8, dribbles it once, and streaks upfield behind key blocks by Sean Shoulder, Jeff Fortna, and Pete Gallagher. Steve goes all the way, 92 yards, practically untouched until teammate Tim Chambers tackles him in the end zone. Penn opens its lead to 17-7. But the real story of this game is the way the Quaker defense dominates a tough Harvard team. Gavin O'Connor and Jerry McFadden harass Bob Santiago. Linebacker coaches Don Doves and Ted Zazopoulos have done a great job with their charges. Watch as we isolate on number 41, Ross Armstrong. With Harvard trying to pass, he flies to the ball and makes a beautiful leaping interception. Penn led all the Ivies with 16 interceptions in 1984. The Quaker offense begins a drive with Rich Comizio picking up big yards. Now it's Steve Ortman going right up the middle for 8 yards. Penn's offensive line surge is awesome, and it springs Rich Comizio for a run that makes it goal to go Quakers. A confident John McGeehan comes up to the line. John was picked as the quarterback on the 1984 All-Ivy team. John hands the ball to Mike O'Neill, and Mike literally burrows his way into the end zone, upsetting an official on the way. Penn is pulling away from Harvard. Tom Murphy, the most proficient kicker in the history of Penn football, adds the extra point, and it's 24-7. Harvard is playing catch-up now, and the Penn pass rushers take advantage. Brian White is greeted by Steve Pisano and sacked for a 9-yard loss. In 1984, Penn did not give up a single touchdown pass in Ivy competition. Harvard is forced to punt from deep in its territory. Waiting for it is the player who has been one of the leaders in Penn's football resurgence over the last 3 seasons. It's Tim Chambers making another great return. First play of the fourth quarter, Penn threatening. McGeehan rolls to his right and tosses to Pat Bueller at the 5. Pat scores, and this game is all red and blue at 31-7. The Quaker defense just keeps doing what it's been doing all season, as Brian White is cut down by Tom Gilmore and Dexter Desir. White decides to give someone else a try at passing. Santiago's pass is picked off by Ross Armstrong. It's Armstrong's 11th interception of his career. With senior Ed Foley clearing the way, Steve Ortman gets the ball and takes off on his last carry before the home folks. How many times have Penn rooters seen this play, with McGeehan passing and Warren Bueller making a leaping catch right at the sideline? Final scoring honors go to Steve Alexic. The sophomore running back drives 7 yards for the touchdown and wraps up a smashing 38-7 victory over Harvard and earns Penn its 3rd straight Ivy League championship. The seniors have played their last home game. What a way to finish. In their 3 seasons, they have only been defeated once in Franklin Field, and that was not an Ivy opponent. They have participated in 3 Ivy League championship seasons. But as they carry Jerry Bernhoff in triumph, they have yet another goal: to travel to Cornell for the final game and ensure that they will stand alone at the top after sharing that spot the previous 2 seasons. As Jerry Byrne talks with Cornell coach Maxie Vaughn, he has to be thinking about what happened here 2 years before, when Cornell knocked Penn out of sole possession of the Ivy crown. Rich Comizio, the Ivy League's Rookie of the Year, has Penn on the move. Mike O'Neill breaks a tackle at the line of scrimmage and scores for Penn. Pennsylvania rooters will see more of Mike in 1985. The Quakers' aerial game is in fine shape in spite of the cold. McGeehan sprints out and passes to Warren Buehler. Buehler gets close enough to set up a Tom Murphy field goal. Penn is on top, 10-0. The red and blue defense is headed for a shutout. Tim Chambers makes one of his 2 interceptions to set a new Pennsylvania career record in that category with 14. Jerry Burnt's team is on its way to becoming the first Penn team to go undefeated in Ivy play. John McGeehan and Steve Ortman hook up for the touchdown as Penn shuts out Cornell 24-0 for a clean sweep of its league opposition. In the process, the red and blue dominated all the statistics, leading the Ivies in total offense and defense, and scoring offense and defense. Their 254 points was the most ever by any Ivy League team. The 33 seniors who played their last game at Cornell have accomplished something that may never be matched in collegiate football. They came into a program that had won only 2 games the 3 previous seasons. They went on to rack up 3 Ivy League championships. On the way, they rewrote nearly every record in the annals of Penn football. Coach Byrne put it this way: this senior class has done more than they can imagine. I don't think they'll realize what they've accomplished and what it means to the university until 10 or 15 years from now. As for the seniors, their message to the ones they leave behind is, keep it alive in '85.